Hi, hello. Welcome. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Senator Bill Cassidy joins us. Senator Cassidy. Real quick, I know you had some other things to talk about. I know you voted against the $1.34 trillion omnibus bill, or whatever you want to call it. Why? And I know you voted against that. Now, you voted for one before, and you voted against this one. In your mind, what was the difference?
The one before actually had some things that went against Obamacare, things that we otherwise could not have achieved, and that made it worse. This one was $1.3 trillion, negotiated by four people out of the eyesight of everybody. We were given less than 24 hours to read a 2,200-page bill.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And it's just not the way to do business.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I was hoping the president would kill it. I don't, his poll numbers don't show that he hurt himself on the bill. It was just that, would just like to see some of the spending stop. One day, and I'll leave it with this, Senator, one day it's going to catch up with the country. And printing of money and running up debt does catch up with you one day. I don't know the date, but I feel like one day it will. And we had $21 trillion. Obama ran up $10 trillion. So if you look at presidents as running them up, even though I know the House and Senate vote on it, one day this got to crush us. I believe that.
Well, the way to get out of it typically is going to be growth. We think that the Tax Cut and Jobs Act bill will increase growth critically, already growing at about the rate that we did under the Obama years. Now, growth covers a multitude of sins. On the other hand, this could be the greatest bill in the world, but it's 2,200 pages, and we had less than 24 hours to study it. That's just not the way to do business. And on the other hand, I'm also working on the other hand. We're making some, as you probably saw, we just got my EGO Act signed into law. The Eliminate Government Oil Paintings. We've been doing it on a year basis, but finally we got it made permanent law. A federal agency can't spend $20,000 to $50,000 a year for a portrait of one of their past secretaries that they then hang up in the back some back hall that no one sees. That's at least a minor victory for the taxpayer. Yeah,
no doubt about it. All right, opioid crisis is a big deal. I know you introduced several pieces of legislation to combat this. What are they? What are you trying to do there?
Several things. Everybody listening to this show was of somebody affected by drug addiction and possibly even dying from opioids. We're doing several things. One, trying to make more money available for treatment, evaluate those programs to make sure they work, increase the penalties on the drug dealers that are bringing in fentanyl, which is more deadly than even heroin. And we're also trying to educate physicians to make sure they don't overprescribe. There's some docs who either do it criminally, very some, and there's a few others that don't do it criminally, but they just give more prescriptions than are needed. And we're trying to also cut back on that.
We talked about this on the program several times. There were people that called in and said they needed a certain amount of drugs each day because of the pain they were in. I guess you're not really talking about or focusing on those folks. You're just talking about the overprescription period.
Totally. A friend of mine who works in the VA, he'll say, oh, absolutely. There's some folks, they need it. We understand it. We're trying to help them. But there's other folks who come in and they want a month's supply, 120 pills, but you do a urine drug screen and they don't have any opioids in their urine, which means they're not taking it. What they're doing is they're selling the medicine. And that's not a good thing, not good for the patient, not good for getting things out on the street for others to take, and not good for the taxpayer since the taxpayer is subsidizing the cost of that prescription.
Well, Senator Cassidy, when you talk about an incident like that, can you take a blood test every time you get an order of them? Is that doable or possible, or is that a little bit overboard?
Oh, no. There's the folks that are monitoring patients. That's one thing. If you have a patient who's got cancer and he's got prostate cancer and he's got metastasis to his bones, he's got pain. Mm-hmm. You know that.
Yeah.
But if a pharmacist looks on his database, and there are these databases, and says, the same patient has gotten 4 different prescriptions from 4 different doctors in the last 3 weeks, each of which is a month's supply, maybe we need to investigate further. And there are some folks that are doctor shopping getting as many prescriptions as they can and either abusing or selling the medicine. And we just need to stop that, man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All righty, 844-766-6607, Hickson has a hotline if you want to be part of the program. What about, all the school shootings? Everybody knows we want to beef the security up at our schools. Forget David Hogg and all that craziness that they're doing in the press, but there's a legitimate concern in schools. I send kids to a school every day. I kind of don't think about it, to be honest with you. I'm hoping the school is doing what they're supposed to do. But what's going to end up happening? Will there be funding out there to help secure our schools? What do you think should happen?
Yeah, there's no one answer, but there's lots of things. If you do it right, make things better. We can look at the shooting in Florida. The FBI blew it. The sheriff's department blew it. The mental health department blew it.
Yep.
The school board blew it.
Yep.
Any one of those folks, if they had done something just a little differently, the kid would have been recognized as having incredible problems and had been reported to the appropriate database, which would have kept him from legally buying a gun. And on at least 4 different levels, that was lost. We're trying to strengthen all 4 of those, make it so that if a school asks a child to leave because he's troubled, that they would pass that child off to a mental health professional that would actually evaluate, as opposed to what happened in Florida. Trying to increase the coordination between law enforcement, mental health, and schools. Again, if a child's asked to leave, then law enforcement will be aware of the reason why. He's a troublemaker. He's always causing fights. He got caught with a weapon on the campus. We can do that. Trying to harden the schools. Adam Lanza, I'm told that when he went into Connecticut and shot up Sandy Hook, he couldn't get through the door, so he shot through the window. On the other hand, this guy in Florida, I'm also told, went to the 2nd floor and tried to shoot through the window to the playground, and he couldn't get through because the window was bulletproof. Well, man, if we'd had that bulletproof window in Connecticut, Adam Lanza couldn't have entered the school.
Mm-hmm.
So putting money out there for school systems to upgrade their facilities to kind of prevent this tragedy.
But don't you think that what is wrong with arming some people at the schools? I'm just kind of curious. Somebody said arming teachers. I don't care if it's teachers, custodians. If they are armed, they can handle a gun, they're trained, you have a training system, you have a school with 1,200 students, and you got about 40 people on campus with a gun. I heard one nut out of Monroe say that, well, we're worried about a teacher shooting a student. Well, I'm worried about – that's fine if we have an accident. They have accidents in vehicles every day. But allowing somebody to go in and kill 10, 20, 30 students – my God, I think the risk is worth it.
So, Moon, a week or 2 after the shooting in Florida, kid in Maryland steals his father's pistol, goes to a school, starts shooting folks, and a resource officer there or someone trained with a weapon took him out, prevented a greater tragedy.
Yep.
It was kind of proof of concept.
But by the way, Senator, you don't see those stories in the mainstream media at all. They don't put them. They don't praise them. They ought to be showing that every day. They don't do that.
Well, it's a little bit like the situation in Texas where the guy gets kicked out of the Air Force. He beat up his wife. The Air Force didn't report it. He buys a weapon, shoots up a church, and the guy next door hears it, comes over with his weapon, and stops a greater tragedy.
I remember that.
Those things aren't reported. But clearly, when you got 300 million weapons in the United States, you're not going to get rid of them. So it's better to have a mechanism to address when something bad happens than to pretend that something bad is not going to happen.
Well, but do you have a problem with arming? I'm saying teachers or some people on campus. Do you have a problem with that?
As long as it's voluntary and as long as they have the ability and the training, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Now, look, again, the training and all that's going to be part of it. The coordinating it with not only the school, but how about having a school that's coordinated with the sheriff's department or police department saying, hey, here's what we got, here's what we're going to do. You have meetings, you get planned, you plan it. You let people know you're doing it, too. That way, if one of these sicko jobs come in there, they're not going to look for the place they know they're going to have a resistance. They're going to look for a place they have no resistance.
I remember about 20, 30 years ago, I went to Little Rock, Arkansas, and they were having an outbreak of robberies of, like, convenience stores. And the sheriff, he was kind of a Buford Pusser type guy. He gets on TV, runs a commercial. He says, I'm your sheriff. I'm holding this shotgun. and I'm going to spend the night in a different convenience store every night, and you won't know which one it is. But if that's the one you knock over, that's the one you get shot in.
Mm-hmm.
And all the convenience store robberies went down. So there is a deterrence when people think that there's a consequence of doing something wrong.
Senator Bill Cassidy is my special guest of the great state of Louisiana. Hey, Bill, real quick, we'll take a couple of calls for you, but Paul Ryan has been rumored to be leaving in the House. Okay? Any word on McConnell? A lot of people are really disappointed in the Senate president. I mean, his leadership. Maybe you're tight with him, maybe you're not, I don't know, but any change coming in the Senate? I mean, because there's a lot of us that have been real disappointed in his leadership, be honest with you. I thought when Trump came in, we'd do a change there, but we didn't. So, and I don't know how tight you are with him or not. I'm just kind of curious. Any word that would change the Senate president, the head of the Senate?
I don't think so. We're only, the election is going to be, the midterm election is going to be in November. And right now it's going to be all political. And increasingly it's going to be difficult to get anything through that's legislative nature. And probably there's not going to be a change between then and now. Now, I thought that in Alabama, obviously Steve Bannon was making McConnell an issue, but then Roy Moore ended up being the candidate, and that just kind of imploded.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Steve Bannon's now off the scene. So maybe people make it an issue, and if it is, there'll be some pressure on Mitch to step aside or for folks to declare against him. But until you know who's running, you don't know who you're voting for.
Yeah, just kind of curious if something would happen there. All right, hey, guys, on the calls, I want y'all to go straight to your questions because we don't have much time left. Let's go to Randy in Shreveport. Question or comment for Senator Bill Cassidy. Andrew in Shreveport. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey there. Oh, no worries, Moon. Hope you're doing well. Just saying, I had the chance to meet you when you were in Shreveport at Strawn's with American Ground. But I just wanted to commend Senator Cassidy for voting against the just terrible omnibus spending bill, because we really cannot be fiscal conservatives when it fits our narrative. We have to be fiscal conservatives all the time, and I just wanted to just commend Senator Cassidy on that. I had the chance to meet him yesterday and ask him a question about that. And so I don't really have any questions, but I just want to say how important that is, because with the midterms coming up, that bill didn't do the Republican Party any pleasures. So that's what I wanted to say, and I just appreciate the call.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew. I totally agree with you, man. We can't be for balancing the budget when Obama's president and not when it's somebody else.
Yep. All right.
It's not fair to the next generation or the next. Totally with you, man. Thank you.
Randy in Shreveport, question or comment for Senator Cassidy.
Hey, yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call and not put me on call block. Thank you. I was kind of worried about you when I voted for you, but it seems like you're doing a pretty good job. And in this situation with these no-gun zones in the schools, just what year did that get started? And I think people need to connect the dots of what administration that was in. And I'm thinking Clinton administration. I think all this stuff's orchestrated on these shootings, especially that one down in Florida, because they let that guy slide so many times it was unreal. Thank you for your comment. Okay, bye.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but I also tend to think that it was the no gun zone started in Clinton's years. On the other hand, what we saw in Maryland, like we spoke of earlier, you had a fellow on the campus who knew how to use the gun. When a troubled student came in and started shooting, this fellow stopped a greater tragedy. So you can actually do something positive if you have somebody who's trained to protect. I agree with you totally, Randy.
Senator Cassidy, when it comes on a school shootings and things of that nature, how much of this is going to be handled by the locals more than it will be federal? And what's federal's response to this? Just helping them with money?
Good question. Obviously, if you got a strapped school system and many school systems are strapped and you want them to harden the school, it helps to have federal dollars come down to help that school harden. That's one of the things we just did. The reporting system where that kid, ideally after the 30th time the sheriff's department visited him, he would have been put in the database to indicate that he would have been adjudicated, and a judge would have said, listen, you're troubled. You should not be able to legally buy a weapon. That would have been a good thing. And the federal government manages that database so that if a kid in Mississippi moves over into Arkansas or Louisiana, you can track that across state lines. So there is a federal role, but a lot of it is local and state leadership. As with everything, Moon, we can't look to Washington, D.C. for the answers. It's local and state leadership that has to set up the system where if a kid is troubled, law enforcement's notified, the mental health folks are notified, and the school coordinates with them, and that comes down to your school board.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be more of a local issue, too. I don't think you need as much money if you have the communication with the local sheriffs and the police departments to go into the schools and allow teachers and people to carry. I just think that's going to be the answer, and it saves on money. But number two is if you got people that are trained, I think you'll be able to handle it. All right, we got to go. Senator Cassidy, thanks. We'll do it again later.
Hey, thank you very much. See you, Moon.
All right, we got to go, folks. We'll be back. A lot more to go. Don't go nowhere. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline, folks. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. All righty. Lafayette General, USHC, will close if state can't find budget solutions. Lafayette General Health warned Tuesday University Hospital and clinics will close if lawmakers don't find a solution to state budget crisis. Uncertainty engulfing the state's entire healthcare system. By the way, we're dumping more in healthcare now than we ever have. Department of Health has received notice that several of the private partners of the plan is if the cuts materialize, including Lafayette General. By the way, they got letters from people in New Orleans. I remember back when we did this new partnership. This is the times that I miss the CB forgot. I remember CB talking about this deal they made. And this is what people got to understand. If it's such a great deal, why is the state still on the hook for the money? You know how Bobby Jindal said, well, we cut 30,000 employees. No, they didn't. They shifted them over. This is frustrating to me. If we have this, quote, partnership, how come the partnership involves Louisiana and state taxpayers paying the money? He used to ask this. He said, you realize that if everything goes wrong and the state gets back these hospitals, we're on the hook. But we're on the hook even though we're supposed to have somebody else running this stuff. We're still having to fork out a lot of money. So what do they do? It simply makes it fiscally irresponsible. Should we stay in agreement because so much of the funding comes from state general fund and also Medicaid dollars? Everybody know Medicaid's breaking us, breaking every state. And there's just no way as your community-owned, not-for-profit health system that serves all of Acadiana, we can't risk putting in the financial jeopardy the future of the institution. So I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm hearing, I heard Carol said this morning, I'm hearing, Brandon, they are moving people through the system quicker because of what we did. But we're still on the hook for the money. I'm trying to figure that out. We were on the hook for the money when we owned it. We're on the hook for the money, and we're not supposed to own it all anymore. And that becomes your problem. And there becomes a political football. The reason why I mentioned CB is when all this was taking place, CB said, you watch. One of the things in the contracts, and this is the biggie, and we talked about this years ago, was that these companies can pull out any time they want to. We've invested billions of dollars of doing it this way, but the companies could leave at the drop of a I mean, they can leave. They're saying July 1st, don't get the budget, we're gone. Overnight, gone. And we said that's a bad deal for Louisiana. Because they got a way out, but we never have a way out. And folks, the biggest growth in our state budget and why you don't have enough money for everything is the healthcare side After Obamacare, the dumbest thing we ever did, was passed, and now this is what you have. All states are going to end up with big problems with dealing with health care. So why did we make the change? Why did we change? If we're still on the hook for the money, we should have just kept it. All we had to do with the health care system was turn it from a 1930s and 40s model to the 21st century. Too many people going into the emergency rooms for fevers and coughs and colds when they could have been going into a clinic to get that done. There's clinics all over the place now. That would have been the model we needed to have. And everybody out there can put $5 down when they walk into a clinic. But we cut a deal that was a bad deal for Louisiana in the fact that a hospital now can threaten to close. Think about it. We all need the hospitals. We all need them. But Louisiana, with all the infinite wisdom, all this, by the way, John Bell Edwards was that John Hilario. Why didn't he do something about it? He's smarter than God. But no, we cut a deal that they could leave. And Fogoston predicted this. We're leaving if y'all don't give us the money. That's what they're telling you. They're going to close a hospital down. By the way, the hospital's not going to close down. If they leave July 1st, the hospital is not going to close. Okay, I'll take anybody's bet on that they want. The hospital is not going to close. The state will simply pick it back up. Yes, they'll have to reshuffle some things. Yes, it'll take them a little bit, but the hospital's not going to close a day. But we said this, and I remember when CB said it, said, man, it kind of got us. What kind of deal was it for the taxpayers that somebody in this business cannot, we didn't even make a deal, hey, you can tell us you're leaving, but you got to give us a year before you leave. We didn't do that. We didn't give them 6 months. They can leave whenever they wanted to. We harped about this on this program. As usual, the masses didn't listen. The politicians don't ever listen. They think they know everything, yet they put us in the position we're in. That's what the problem is. And the other problem is when Bobby Jindal wanted to build, and by the way, nobody in the legislature stopped him, not the great John Hilario. When they wanted to build that big old hospital in New Orleans, John Kennedy and David Vitter said, do not build that big hospital. You don't need that many beds. It was $1.3 billion or $1.8 billion, whatever they did. We cannot afford it. We cannot maintain it. We don't have the money to maintain it. And Bobby Jindal said, to heck with that. I got to help some political people who got me elected. And they built it. And we can't afford it. And we said that. We can afford it a smaller version of that at best, or redoing one of the hospitals over there. I don't remember the whole argument. But we built it, and then we can't afford to maintain it. That's what frustrates me. But we said all that. Oh, no, those so smart politicians. Where'd the guy on the radio don't know anything? Oh, CB's just mad. That's what they used to say. They used to laugh at that. CB did get mad. Now, I've learned a lot. And this guy said this would happen. You don't sign a contract with a company. I'm not cutting the company. I'm saying I'm cutting us. Why do you want to sign a contract to where somebody running hospitals can tell you, take a flying rip overnight and be gone? Who signs contracts like that? Apparently, the state of Louisiana does. State of Louisiana does. And that's what frustrates me when I say, well, we just shut the hospitals down. Hospitals are not going to be shut down, folks. Okay? But it's the fact that we signed a deal that allows them to get out of the contract so they can put threats on us because we won't raise enough taxes on the citizens. We just won't keep taking every penny from them. So anytime there's budget problems, anytime there's budget problems, we get screwed. Quick call. Jimmy in All City. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing all right, Moon. I don't know if this is the subject you was on. I heard it earlier when I went into the store. I come out, I call you. The The reason we got problems with kids shooting people in school is, first of all, the politicians took the correctional authority out of the schools. Then they took the correctional authority out of the parents' hands. And then they took God out of school. Next, they're going to be taking God out of our lives. That's what our problem is. We need God and we need correction. I'm 78 years old, and I don't remember one shooting in a school prior to them taking God out of it.
Well, the taking out of God, the moral breakdown, the moral breakdown of the family has caused a lot of stuff. Illegitimacy of having babies and not being able to take care of them. It's caused a lot of problems. And the world's going to tell you, you don't need God. All you need to do is listen to the government and do what they say, which by the way, is dumber than sin itself. So anyway, I appreciate the call. I got to go. Thanks for the call. We're going to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Well, it's a moral breakdown of family. You can, all the laws you want to, all the taxes you want to, not going to change anything. Anyway, the hospitals, bad contract by the state to say you can walk away. Now they're playing the game that Bill Edwards and them are playing. Well, we're going to have to close them down. We're going to have to close them down if you don't give me some money. Same game. Everything plays in the state of Louisiana, and yet we sit here and nothing changes. That's so frustrating. But anyway, people running the hospitals are probably good people, good companies, but to walk away and threaten to walk away because you don't get your funding, knew this was coming, saw it a mile way before this happened. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program. I smelled a bad deal when we saw one. I'll give Ferguson the credit. This was always a bad deal. We're going to end up back with those hospitals because we don't change anything in the state. So we'll end up back with the hospitals. These companies will leave, our company will leave, and the reason they're going to leave is lack of money. But we should have never cut a deal where somebody can literally, in charge of hospitals, and everybody knows we all need hospitals. They're very important. Well, you allow a company to leave with a letter. They don't have to give a week notice, a 2-week notice, or 2 months notice. They can leave anytime they want to. Don't y'all think that's a pretty bad deal? John Hilario was there. He's there for all the big deals. Why didn't stop it? Why John? He's the grown up in the room. John Hilario could care less. He's a deal maker. Sounds like a good deal to me. It's a good deal to John. It's a good deal to anybody. Bill Edwards was there. Why didn't Bill Edwards stop it? Oh, that's right. Bill Edwards inherited everything, you know. He had nothing to do with all that. Why didn't the great Jay Darden step up? He was Secretary of State. Hey, guys, I think your hospital deal is horrible. Now, he's the guy that knows everything about the fiscal matters of the state of Louisiana. Why didn't the big Jay Darden stop it? It is what it is now, folks. But now we got threats. Everything's threats. If we don't raise taxes, if we don't take taxes from people, if we don't take everything they got, then we ain't got no more tops and no more this and no more that. No more hospitals. Hospitals are not going to close. They're not going to close. We'll take them back over, but they're not going to close. But the press and the people in the media, the Washington-style media we have here now, only point out what we want to point out. Because they want me and you to pay more income taxes. They want me and you to pay more property taxes. They want me and you to pay even more than we're paying now. That's why we don't need a constitutional convention. I'll keep saying that. I think I'll lose the battle, and then y'all gonna lose. We're gonna lose the war, and people are gonna tell me what they always say. Man, you were talking about that. You were right about that. But it's too late. It's after the fact. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Link in Sunset. Link, how you doing?
I'm fine, Moon. No major complaints. Listen, I'm pressed for time, but I'm a little bit late in getting in on that conversation for security in the schools.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a retired military person, Korea, Vietnam veteran, and I'm the past state commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars for the state of Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
And I know every nook and cranny in this state. They're all veterans. Mm-hmm. They're all veterans very qualified to be security in these schools throughout the state of Louisiana.
Absolutely.
They come with honesty, integrity, and temperament. They know how to control that temper. It's just a matter of getting a little bit of training. The Department of Schools and maybe private industry could make a contribution to training of these guys and the children of those schools, but certainly be safe because they either got a grandpa or an uncle watching them.
Like, let me ask
That's
a question.
about all I can say.
No, let me ask a quick question. And this is the curious point. How much do you think it would cost a person, a veteran, or someone like that? How much do you think it would cost for them to come, maybe a 4 or 5 hour shift, a 4 or 5 hour shift 3 days a week? You think there'd be a maximum, a minimum amount of money that they would take to do it? I'm just curious because it always gets down to money.
Moon, I'll tell you one thing. I'll be very truthful with you. I'm a veterans advocate, and I belong on 2 other boards, and there's a pay. They pay people for being on the board. I decline the pay. And I'm not speaking for every veteran in this state, but I can assure you that if you allow a veteran, if you choose him, if you ask him to participate in that, I can assure you that the majority of them will say, listen, man, give me a uniform, give me the authority, give me the cooperation of the principal, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to do it for free.
You know,
that's the majority of the mentality.
Yeah, I just wonder if you set up a program to where you had enough people volunteer to school that you could probably have, let's say you had 6 at each school. I'm just using a number, maybe low, maybe high, whatever.
Right.
And you did it like this. You work 3 days a week, and you work shifts. Some come in the morning, some come in the afternoon, or you work a whole day, whatever it is. And you just sign up for a year or 2 years just to do your stint.
Yes.
And if we get a lot more people volunteering, well, maybe your stint is 6 months, and then you let somebody else come in and do it, especially if you're a retired veteran. But there's got to be a way to do it. We got to think out the box. Gun control is not the way to do it. We know that. But
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I tell you what, you get a veteran in there who's got a temperament, who's got control. He comes with honesty, integrity. That's the biggest thing you've got to pay for.
Yeah.
It's to find somebody that you can trust.
Well,
and I'll tell you what, a stipend, a very small stipend from the school administration, the school board in that parish. Listen, I'm from St. Landry Parish, and we've got 5,500 veterans in this parish. Wow. I'm not saying they're all of age, some are older, but I'll tell you what, you're going to have volunteers. A stipend will be sufficed, just to, their gas money and whatever. But I was a veteran for 22 years, and I retired. I retired in the military police corps. And I know the temperament of the veterans in this entire state, because I was their commander for a whole year. And I tell you what, I'll argue with anybody at any level of mentality that if a veteran is in that school, you can rest assured your child is safe.
Yeah. By the way, when the action starts, they know to go to the action. Got to go, Link. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. That's one of the answers. Jason, Shreveport, Louisiana. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing great, Moon. Talking about school security and removing God, which could have caused this whole situation. When you look at a pride of lions, and you ask yourself, we're going to take God out of a pride of lions and see how the lions act. They're going to still act the same. Moon, when you add in Adderall and Seroquel to that lion pride, that lion is going to kill every lion in the pride. So when you look at the schools and you look at 6th graders that are on Seroquel is a mind-altering drug. It causes malignant brain disorder, but the positives outweigh the negatives. I beg to differ because people on Seroquel do some insane things, like attack family members and shoot up schools.
Mm-hmm.
People on Adderall do a lot of insane things. Adderall is methamphetamine, man. Have you ever looked at the pill?
No.
It says methamphetamine. It says methamphetamine on the pill, man.
Yeah.
And these people are starting off their children in the 4th and 5th, 6th grade on Adderall, 2 pills a day.
Yeah.
They can't sleep. They're fidgeting constantly, so they give them Seroquel to calm them down. That's the same drug they give PTSD soldiers. When you meet somebody on Seroquel, you're like, oh, my God, run. And when you look at all the mass shootings, you're talking about people that are on Seroquel, Adderall, Xanax, all these crazy drugs. You think the liberal Democrats are going to say, hey, we need to get our kids off of drugs because we're selling them to them, we're giving our kids meth, so they'll go to school and act that way? Yeah. No, the Democrats aren't going to do that. A Republican mother tells their child this: if you touch that gun, son, I'm going to beat you within a half inch of your life. Yep. And then I'm going to send you to the, where they send the teenagers to prison because you touched my gun. After you touch it, I'm going to beat you and then I'm going to put you in jail. These people, these Democrat people today, they're like, oh, my God, I don't have a gun. We don't need a gun. But we'll give you Seroquel and we'll give you Adderall. And now go to school and see if the principal...
All right, I got to run. I got to run, cuz. Thanks for the call. We got to go. More to come. Moon Griffon Show right after this. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. Oh, God. Wallet Hub just came out with the most stressful states. You realize they named us the most stressful state? 38 different factors went into the rankings. Things like crime rates, depression rates. Crime rates? You mean to tell me we got a mayor like Mitch Landrieu and crime rates are down bad? We got Jamie Mayo kissing up to Louis Farrakhan. How can crime rates be bad? Depression rates, child care costs, divorce rates, debt, and here's the one that really blows my mind, unemployment rates. You got Richard Corbo of the Governor Edwards regime bragging that they lowered unemployment rate. By the way, they never lowered unemployment rate. I wish I could sit down with Corbo and say, Corbo, tell me what the governor did to get the unemployment rate now. Tell me what your policies to make that happen. And the fact is, there was an article not too long ago, our migration's kicked in here again, and we got a lot of people not looking for jobs. That's why our rates are coming down. But they keep bragging about the unemployment. Actually, I think it was a Tyler Bridges article who is a big fan of the governor. He's the press secretary for the governor. I just kind of got a kick out of that. But anyway, don't like the idea of us being the most stressed state. I wonder why. But crime rate, I just can't believe that when you got a guy like Mitch Landrieu running the city of New Orleans and doing such a wonderful job, who could be the next president of the United States. Did y'all know that? By the way, Brandon, the governor's also bragging that, our median income has been going down. Well, a governing magazine report says Louisiana saw a 2.9% increase in per capita income last year. So this is what the governor does. They put stuff out there without giving you, quote, the rest of the story. The press won't, quote, give you the rest of the story, but I will. You get a third of the information here you cannot get anywhere else. Here's what the report says, too. The report says the biggest part of the gain in the increase in per capita income last year was the state's 8.3% increase in benefits received due to Medicaid expansion. Okay. Louisiana's Department of Labor executive director says the governor's health care expansion is driving the state's economic recovery. Folks, that is so short-lived and so short-sighted that that's not even funny. How many of you people expanding your income through Medicaid? That's like Nancy Pelosi said one time, if you increase the minimum wage, our economy will grow. And it's not true. You can say it, but it's not true. But they keep saying it every chance they get. By the way, I told y'all I've been kind of laughing at this. We're trying to expand gambling to no end. And Brandon, they keep saying everybody up there. I've seen the Speaker of the House. I've seen Ronnie Johns, who's really trying to expand. Danny Martini. we're not expanding again. Tyler Bridges, who doesn't get it right much, wrote an article, Serious Expansion of Gaming. Sports betting advances in legislature, but more hurdles await. Betting on sports will become legal at gambling facilities throughout Louisiana, even at bars and restaurants, under legislation approved Tuesday by Senate committee. So you can gamble at restaurants in your favorite bar as well. But it's not expanding now, folks. Senate Bill 266 would authorize gambling on sports at the Harrah's New Orleans Casino, the 15 floating casinos, the 4 racetrack casinos, and the 200 video poker truck stop casinos, and the more than 1,000 bars and restaurants with video poker machines. It was approved by Judiciary B Committee. But they keep telling us we're not expanding gambling. This is a new form of gambling. Totally new form of gambling. But we're not expanding gambling, folks, as every politician gets up there and tells us. Senate Bill 266 becomes the first measure this year to win approval before a legislative committee that would clearly expand gambling in the state. Wow, Brandon, I was off again. I was wrong again. That's what I said. Quit the BS from politicians. You're expanding gambling. For God's sakes, quit all this lying, what you're trying to do. That's all I'm worried. You know, they want to expand it, fine. You people want to gamble till you don't have any money. But the point being is, quit denying that it's not a change and we're not expanding it. That's all I'm saying. Quit lying to us. Quit wee-weeing on our leg and tell us it's raining. By the way, if the legislature approves the bill, 2 other developments must occur. The United States Supreme Court must overturn a 92 law that allows sports betting only in Nevada and to a more limited extent 3 other states. The court will be ruling on that question this summer. Danny Martini, Republican. Martini said Mississippi has already authorized sports betting, so if the Supreme Court legalizes the activity, we'll be losing revenue because we won't be able to compete with those markets. Noby Charbert, Republican of Homer, predicted sports betting. Here we come now. This is the other little white lie. We're going to get all this tax revenue to fix our budget. Did y'all know that? Charbert predicted sports betting would generate big dollars for the state treasury, although the legislative fiscal office said it would not quantify how much that might be. Al Nashi, guy I roommate in college and went to school with, who, by the way, is bought and sold. He's the big lobbyist guy. Only group to express opposition was the Louisiana Family Forum. But the group's representative did not testify before the committee, Brandon. Martini told the committee members the legislature don't want to raise enough money to fill a looming budget gap, nor do they want to make the necessary cuts. More gambling could help balance the budget. But we're not expanding gambling. That's, games, words. By the way, you want to gamble, gamble. People that I know, I got a lot of friends of mine in the gambling industry. No, I'm sorry, gaming industry. But quit the bull. Quit lying to us about it's not going to expand it. It does expand it. That's the goal, is to expand it. Just be honest about it. Why don't they walk up and say, hey, we want to expand gambling? Instead of all this rigmarole of, well, we're not expanding gambling, Brandon. That's not what we're doing. This doesn't expand gambling. Ronnie John says that one more time, I'm a puke. Ronnie John's leading the run for expansion of gambling. Just be honest, Ronnie, once. Just once, be honest. David in North Louisiana. David, go.
Moon, you're talking about the stress in Louisiana.
Yeah.
I figure that it happened with my daddy and my wife's daddy when they got back from World War II. If those men had set in place, through the legislature and stuff, in other words, lobbied the Louisiana legislature to focus on nuclear Cajun families, black, white, purple, I don't care what ethnicity. If my dad and my wife's dad in 46 had made that the focus, we wouldn't have to be arguing about gambling and wouldn't have to be arguing about Monroe being the highest murder rate for a town that size.
Mm-hmm.
It's just insane. They had gambling on top of all the rest of Monroe's problems.
Yeah. Yep. You're probably right. Anyway, got to run. Appreciate the call. Trump, 51% approval now, right? 51% approval of Rasmussen, which had him at 37 a few months ago.
Did you notice his approval rating actually went up since the whole Stormy Daniels thing has gone on?
Yeah, it's going better because I think people are getting mad if they try to pull that. But you notice Stormy Daniels has died as quick as it started? People are tired of Washington. They're tired of the swamp. That's what we're tired of. We got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Just kind of get a kick out of with these elected officials. They're not expanding gambling. And then they expand gambling. Instead of manning up and saying, hey, we need to expand gambling. Had a guy call yesterday, Don from Shreveport. He liked gambling. He think we ought to expand the heck out of it, keep up with Oklahoma and Mississippi. And then they start talking about how this is bringing in new tax revenue, but no expansion. If you're not expanding, look, folks, if you have a business and you want to invest in your business, you probably want to expand it. So Harris is going to invest $350 million in their business, and they're telling us it's not an expansion. I even saw Gene Mills, branded a family forum. It was in the paper, and they quoted him wrong. He said, well, we're not saying that Harris is trying to expand. Gene, if they put $350 million, I can promise you they're not trying to not expand. You're going to invest $350 million not to expand? It don't make any sense. When businesses, and gambling is no different, when businesses expand, they're putting money in something so they can get a better return. They're not investing $350 million not to expand. So just quit with the bull, quit with the bunk. And I give it Tyler Bridges this, and I know Tyler. Tyler's at least calling it what it is. It's an expansion. It's an expansion. We don't have as many people going against it as we used to. One of the big guys in the business to stop gambling passed away last year. His name is Jim Spillers. Jim Spillers fought the good fight against gambling every way he could. And he's no longer with us. So as we go on, we just kind of accept it. That's fine. You want gambling? We got it. I'm sorry, gaming. It's not okay. Just you don't have to do this. This is ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Phone lines. We go. Chris in Lafayette. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, how's it going, Moon? Hey, Moon, you think that all these people in the state that's under stress, we might get some legal weed going on over here? You know? Hey, and you know what else? Nevada's got a few counties where you can, they got the legal brothels and stuff. I mean, if we're going to be on the progressive way here, let's get it all going.
Well, if you just want tax base, why don't we, they're talking about legalizing some of marijuana. What's wrong with legalizing cocaine and crack cocaine and all that stuff?
Well,
I mean, why? We can get the tax dollars off of it. Why not worry about it? Let's open it all up. And like you said,
no, it's too hard on the body. That other stuff, the destruction it would cause is
oh
more
no,
than
but you're missing the point.
You're
You're missing the point, man. We can have new tax revenue, so we can not raise taxes, and so we have plenty of money for education and healthcare.
Hey, maybe they could. We'll start raising the taxes on churches and stuff.
Oh, that's coming too. Trust me. Trust me.
Right,
that is around the corner because what they're doing. I look for them to start taxing 401ks. I look for them to start taxing federal retirement systems. Look, when you're in a mode of we're going to spend and you don't really care what happens to your people, you're just looking for things. That's all. You're just looking for new ways.
It's like we're slaves. It's almost like we're slaves, but we're not really slaves.
Yeah. Well, I'm just telling you, it's a trip right now. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, thanks for the call. Appreciate the call. By the way, we do have a piece when we get back, Brandon. They're now saying that Mueller told Trump that he is not the target of the investigation right now. He's not the target of investigation on everything he's doing. I think that's probably to back Trump up. Mueller told Trump's attorney the president remains under investigation, but not currently a criminal target. He's not a trick. And by the way, they've been putting that on Fox all day. Folks, when it's all said and done, Mueller's whole investigation is about pounding Trump. It's not about doing anything else. I don't care what he's saying right now. The whole goal is to pound Donald Trump. Ultimately, that's what they want. They want something to break right before this fall's elections, going back into the presidential elections. If Democrats were to win back the House, which is crazy to me, but if they were to win, go and get the House again, yeah, they're going to impeach Trump, and whatever Mueller puts out, they're going to run on it. And the thing about it is, I thought this was about collusion. You know, we never talk about Russian collusion, ever. Must not be any evidence for that. We got to take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. All right. Just talked to you about Donald Trump. And, new poll numbers have him at 51%. Okay, Mueller is saying he's not the investigation right now. He's always going to be the investigation. I think that's a bunch of bull. You put it out there in the press. But the whole investigation is to beat up Trump because the swamp wants to stay the swamp. They want to stay exactly like they are. But Alan Dershowitz was on with Hannity last night, maybe last night or the night before. And his approach is totally different because Mueller really has it's an open door to do whatever he wants to do and go in any direction he wants to go into. So listen to what he had to say with him and Sean Hannity.
As we continue, famed Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz has long called for Mueller's witch hunt to come to an end, and now he's even comparing the special counsel investigation to the tactics of the former Soviet Union. Joining us now to explain, author of the new book, Trumped Up, How Criminalization of Political Differences Endangers Democracy. I notice you get attacked, but you've been very consistent on the special counsel and the criminalization of political differences.
Oh, yeah. Today, we see that Mueller announces that one of the things that he's going to go after Trump for, and Rosenstein says he can do it, is collusion. Now, he's inventing a crime. There's no such crime as collusion in the federal statute. You can't just make up crimes. Nobody likes collusion. If collusion had occurred, and there's no evidence it did, if collusion had occurred, it would be a political sin. But neither Rosenstein nor Mueller can simply magically make up a crime and say, now collusion is a crime. You want to make collusion a crime in the future? Pass a statute. It's not on the books.
What about the violation of the special counsel law that Greg Jarrett was talking about? And I think it's interesting. 1 week after Paul Manafort's home is raided and his poor wife is thrown in the handcuffs, which wasn't necessary. That's typical Andrew Weissman tactics. But a week after, Rosenstein then authorizes Mueller to do it.
No, there's something very wrong with that.
Yeah.
The special counsel should have very narrow jurisdiction, and it should be set out in advance so everybody can see it and know it. The Constitution talks about ex post facto criminal laws. The policies behind that are fair warning and constraining the government. And the government, when you have a special prosecutor, should know, and everybody should know, what he's entitled to look and what he's not entitled to look at. This special prosecutor is going to look at everything. He's beginning to look at President Trump's personal financial matters before he was president. Will he start looking at the women who are alleging actions against him? Where does it stop? We know that the Clinton special counsel started with Whitewater and ended up with a blue dress, and that's just wrong.
Where does Jonathan Turley, a smart law professor, also on the other side politically than where I am, he made a good point. He thought the appointment by the Attorney General of the prosecutor Huber that actually helps Trump because it could move so much faster.
I agree with that. And first of all, that's what should have happened when special counsel was appointed. They shouldn't have appointed a special counsel in the beginning. They should have had somebody within the Justice Department look at it initially, look at the whole issue of Russian involvement in the election, and then, if it looked like there was evidence of crimes that couldn't be investigated by the Justice Department, then maybe you move to special counsel.
So you think the Attorney General has a right?
Has what?
Has it right by doing it this way.
Oh, I think this time he has it right. Now, the other problem, of course, is Rosenstein. I don't know how he remains on this case. He is the major witness that any decent Trump lawyer calls. He's the guy who wrote the memo. The first question you want to ask him if there's an obstruction of justice investigation is, how can there be obstruction of justice? Yeah, you wrote the memo authorizing the firing.
And
How is he in the case?
He renewed the FISA application. Yeah. And then he appointed Mueller. So he's conflicted on 1,000 different ways. All right, here's where we disagree. I argue that Hillary Clinton violated 18 U.S.C. 793. She didn't want congressional oversight, mishandling of classified information. Then she subpoenaed emails are deleted, 33,000, then acid washing the hard drive, and then beating up your devices.
And as a result of that, she lost the election because Comey investigated it and said there was no crime, but what she did was careless. Don't you think that's the appropriate way to deal with this
politically? If you're my defense attorney, I love you, but is it careless when you acid wash your hard drive, delete subpoenaed emails, and beat the crap out of your BlackBerry?
Well, she didn't do that, of course. Other people did it. And the question is was she appropriately investigated? And was the decision a correct one not to proceed criminally?
But then that brings up Lisa Page and Peter Strzok and James Comey and Andrew McCabe and Loretta Lynch meeting Bill on the tarmac. That sounds like a fix.
I don't like any of that. I think Bill Clinton made a terrible mistake having that meeting because that's what led to the Attorney General recusing herself, leading to Comey taking over the investigation, leading to the statement he made, leading to her losing the election.
Strzok and Comey writing the exoneration months before they interview her or 17 other key witnesses?
It's worth looking into. It sounds
like a fix, is it?
Not a special counsel, but it's worth looking into. Again, maybe a political sin, but not a federal crime.
Okay, but if you write an exoneration before an investigation,
not a crime.
It sounds like the fix is in. That would be obstruction, wouldn't it?
No. First of all, I don't think the Attorney General can obstruct justice by...
I'm not talking about the Attorney General. I'm talking about the FBI director.
It's a stretch, and I don't want to stretch the criminal law.
Interesting. I just want to know when they're going to get back to collusion and Trump collusion. It's amazing. Trump's numbers keep going up. Republicans' numbers are headed down. It fascinates me. It really does. All right. Gate on we go. We'll go to, I think it's Leonard. Leonard, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Moon. First time I could ever get through to you. But
yes, sir.
Nice talking to you.
Yes, sir.
You're my favorite.
Anyway, God bless you. God bless you.
I guess you know about our organization. You ever heard of the Gideons?
Yep, sure have. The Gideons. Okay, the Gideons are the ones that normally get the Bibles into places like hotels and things of that nature. And yeah, and not just that, they do it a wide range of stuff. But yes, sir, I'm familiar with them in that as far as that goes.
Yeah. Okay, we also go in the schools that will allow us, and we hand out Bibles to the fifth graders. And, Nick, I heard people talking about getting God out of school. Well, they have. In Vermilion Parish, where I'm from, we cannot go in any schools and pass out Bibles to the fifth graders. They say the ACLU and all that. And I went to a principal one time, and he told me, he said, if you bring in Bibles to my school, I'll throw them in the trash. I said, well, I won't bring them to your school.
Yeah, you don't want them in the trash.
We're taking God out of our schools, and they wonder why we have the wars. I've been subbing for about 10 years, and kids in school have no more respect. Not all of them.
No, well, listen, you never can say all, Leonard, but what happens is you got a lot of them now when it used to be so few. Now he's got I don't know if it's a majority, whatever the number is. Whatever the number is, a lot higher than it should be. And, think about that. To not direct a kid in right and wrong when they're in an early age will help them the rest of their life. And that's all y'all trying to do, and I understand that. But it's just the way culture we live in. We live in a post-Christian culture in the United States of America, and I believe that. I've never had a pastor sit down with me and try to convince me otherwise. Now, there may be one out there that wants to, but they're going to have a problem convincing me that we are not in post-Christian, that we got a lot of Christian people still here, a lot of people still fighting the good fight. But you got so many people now that believe in another way, and there is no other way. But they got a lot of people that believe in other ways now.
That's it. And like I say, I would say maybe 25% of your kids are. Like I said, not all of them, but.
Oh, yeah, but don't you agree that percentage, Leonard, is growing daily?
Oh, yes, sir. I see that I stayed one time about 2 years without subbing, and when I went back, I couldn't believe.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, if you've been doing if you've been subbing for 10 years, I bet year 1 to year 10 is a big difference.
Oh, yes, very much. I tell them when I was in school, if we would have done stuff they do now, my mom would still be beating me.
Hey, I understand that, my brother. I understand that feeling, too. Yeah. All right, Leonard, God bless. I do have to take a break. Thank you here.
Okay, thank you, man.
Appreciate the call. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. He sounds older than me, Brandon, so I know the beating I'd have got. I couldn't imagine what he'd have got. You'd have got less beating than I got. Maybe. I know your dad. Maybe. I know your mom, too.
Oh, no, look. My mom is the one I didn't want to get the whippings from. She wouldn't hold back. Dad would hold back.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know about that, but I didn't live in your family either. All right, we got to take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. All right, big event in New Orleans. We had Ann Coulter on yesterday. Breitbart News Network hosting a live town hall meeting April 5th. Andrea's or something like that, I think, is the restaurant. And you can go check them out at Breitbart. Peter Schweitzer joins us. And, of course, he is president of Government Accountability Institute, best-selling author of Clinton Cash and Secret Empires. Peter, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Moon. How are you?
I am doing superb, sir. I know you're looking forward to coming to Louisiana. It's like I told Ann. Ann looks kind of thin, and when you come to Louisiana, you gotta want to put on a few pounds, or you're not gonna have as much fun as you have everywhere else.
Well, I tell you, Moon. I asked my teenage daughter. She's 17. I said, "What can you bring me back from New Orleans?" And she said, "Food. You can bring me back food." So I don't know how I'm going to pull that off.
Listen. Louisiana's already fixed all that. You need something shipped, we can ship it. It's not a problem. I mean, you need a king cake, they'll ship it. You want some etouffee, they'll ship it, man. Don't even worry about that. That's a piece of. I was going to say a piece of cake, but a king cake is a cake, and no, I promise you can get them something. Anyway, Master of the Universe, big tech versus free speech and privacy. What are you going to focus on mostly?
I'm going to focus on the fact that Google and Facebook are manipulating us. And this is, I think, important because a lot of people, are getting pretty savvy on the fact that these big tech companies know so much about us. They have so much information on us and that our privacy doesn't exist. And some people kind of shrug their shoulders and say they don't care. Well, one of the reasons they should care is what are those companies doing with all that information? Yeah, they're selling it to advertisers and they're making money, but they're also manipulating people. And we're going to explain and go through in depth some examples of how they manipulate you.
Can you let me ask you a question. Can you give us a couple of examples so just off the air people can kind of look at? But I know you can't go into detail of it.
Yeah.
Just a couple of examples for people to be on alert for.
Absolutely. You go to Google and you search for a subject. Let's in the 2016 election, you Google for information on Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Well, what you see, the page rank of what they list at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page, makes an enormous difference because most people only click on the first few choices.
Absolutely.
And during the 2016 election, there have been all kinds of academic studies that show that they took all the negative coverage of Hillary Clinton and put it much lower in the search results, and they put the negative stuff about Trump at the top. And it was done in such a way that it was designed to try to drive voters towards Hillary Clinton. And, my point is, people can have their point of view, but Google and Facebook are able to try to manipulate us. And Moon, they do it in in secret. We don't even know what's
Sure.
going on. It's not like a journalist, who makes a snarky comment about a politician and you can say, okay, that guy's biased. This is going on in secret. It's a manipulation. We don't know about it. And that's just one small example of the sort of things they do.
Yeah, by the way, get you involved in a little bit in the politics, but when you're watching the network news, which I don't do a lot of that, I cringe watching all that crap anymore, but they're making it sound like Trump manipulated Facebook and Twitter or whatever, manipulated it and to win the election. Yet you're telling me really it's being manipulated the other way. But they're making it sound like Trump and him did something wrong.
That's exactly right. I mean, what Google and Facebook will tell you is they've got these things that are called algorithms, which are these like mathematical programs or these mathematical formulas. And so when you ask for information from Google, it's going to give you just sort of an objective mathematical answer and put the results on the top that best meet the needs of what you have. And the bottom line is that's just not true. They actually put into these algorithms biases that are designed to benefit causes and candidates that they're in favor of. And so one of the people that we're going to have tomorrow night at the event is this really interesting academic scholar. He's not political. His name's Robert Epstein. He's a Harvard PhD, and he does all these studies for the National Academy of Sciences. And he's one of the people that's done these studies. Now, in 2016, he actually supported Hillary Clinton, but he said the academic research is overwhelming that Google and Facebook were manipulating their news feeds to try to benefit Hillary Clinton. And his point is, it doesn't matter who you supported in the election, you don't want big tech corporations trying to manipulate hundreds of millions of people to get them to what they want them to think.
Yeah, no, I was just saying Zuckerberg is getting ready to have to go testify. And what is a guy like that going to say? On the Facebook guy.
Yeah,
what is he going to go testify on? I'm sure whatever he does, I'm just guessing on this, Peter. I'm guessing it's to save his rear end, not necessarily to pound Trump, but I don't know. I'm not going to be there.
Well, and here's the thing. When you go to testify before Congress, is he going to swear an oath to tell the truth? Okay. I mean, that's really the key issue.
Sure.
You can testify before Congress, but if you don't take an oath, you can lie about things. If you take an oath, yeah, you can lie about things, but you can get charged with lying to Congress if it can be proven that you're lying. So I hope that he testifies under oath. Because I'm sure he does not want to expose or explain some of the things that have been going on.
Yeah, by the way, lying to Congress, then all the congressmen must have to go to jail. They lie to each other all the time, don't they? I mean, that's kind of an average day in the life of a congressman.
Well, Moon, this is what they're so manipulative about is, of course, they never put themselves under oath.
No.
They only put people that appear them under oath. And, in the book that I had that just came out, Secret Empires, I call it Secret Empires because they say that they disclose all these things about their finances, but they've come up with these manipulative ways so on paper they look poor, but in reality they're rich.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is a part of the game that's played in Washington, D.C., and it relates to all these sorts of things, and it's a reason why people are so frustrated with what's going on in our nation's capital.
Well, I think it's the reason why Donald Trump was elected, too. The frustration of the Capitol is unbelievable. By the way, one quick thing before you have to go, your best-selling book, Clinton Cash and Secret Empires. First of all, it must have did pretty good, but what's the response to it? What's the response been to this?
Yeah, it's Secret Empires came out about 10 days ago. We are now number one on the New York Times bestseller list. The response has been overwhelming. And we go after and show how people like Joe Biden and Senator Mitch McConnell and his wife Elaine Chao, how they are involved in massive acts of corruption, deals involving foreign governments, sometimes worth billions of dollars, billions with a B. So the response has been overwhelming, and it's just, people are very angry and upset, and they recognize that politicians aren't representing them. They're representing the interests of the people that are making them wealthy, and that's part of the thing that I think people are so angry about.
Okay, Peter, so I don't mess it up. How do you say your last name? Is it Schweitzer? Am I close?
That's it, Schweitzer. That's exactly
I did pretty good. Sometimes I mess up Peter. That's why I was kind of curious about that. All right, and the big the big event is April 5th, which that's tomorrow, correct?
That's right. It's tomorrow night, and it's on Andrea's Restaurant, and we'd love to have people come. It's going to be, I think, a very interesting, fascinating forum, and we're certainly going to take questions and comments from people, too.
Oh, I think y'all getting ready to have a lot of fun. When y'all come to Louisiana, you'll have a lot of friends here at the meeting to see you. I promise you, and tell your daughter, trust me, you go to New Orleans, you go anywhere in Louisiana, and find something you like. If they can't ship it, I'll fall out laughing, because one thing we do, we import and export a lot of fun, and food is one of the things that we have a lot of fun with. Peter, hey, God bless. Let's do it again another time.
Thanks so much, man.
I would love to get you back on with your book. I think your book would be fascinating.
I'll be glad to do it.
All right, we'll get back in touch. Thank you. God bless. All right, folks, Friday Eve tomorrow. Just hold your breath for 22 hours, and we'll be back. God bless. See you then.